This is Plant Nest. Let's make your plants thrive. I'm still learning about orchids, but some of mine are already blooming for the third time. So I want to share what has worked for me in my indoor setup in northern Germany. I don't use folk remedies like placing a rotten banana peel next to the plant, so my tips are simple but effective. If your Phalaenopsis still isn't blooming this much, this video is for you.
Orchid blooming secrets, unlocking the hidden magic of orchids. Some might say, my orchids bloom without any special tricks or secrets. And that's great. But here's the thing, my orchids are bred in Thailand, from a completely different climate, and they're not naturally adapted to European conditions. If you buy orchids bred in the Netherlands, they are more tolerant of European environments, and I have those too. But they tend to look quite similar. If you want orchids with unique peloric flowers, variegated leaves, or intricate patterns, you have two choices: either stick to the hardier varieties bred for cooler climates or fully recreate the conditions of Thailand and Taiwan forest in your home. 1. Choosing the right orchid. Did you know that orchids have been around for over 100 million years? These ancient beauties have evolved incredible survival strategies. The easiest orchids to rebloom indoors are Phalaenopsis, moth orchids, but other varieties like Dendrobium, Oncidium, and Cattleya also bloom beautifully with proper care. Pick healthy plants with firm leaves and visible, green roots. They hold the key to a strong bloom. 2. Light is key. Orchids don't just need light, they need the right kind of light. If leaves turn dark green, they are craving more sun. If they turn reddish, they're getting too much. Some orchids naturally have a reddish tint to their leaves. This isn't a sign of stress, but rather a unique characteristic of certain varieties. During winter, orchids need additional light. Use a grow light phytolamp to keep them happy when daylight hours are short. In ancient China, orchids symbolized wisdom. Perhaps they're trying to teach us to balance things just right? 3. The right temperature. Temperature fluctuations trick the orchid into blooming. Mimic nature by keeping days around 68 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit and nights 59 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. A common trick among seasoned growers? Placing them near a cool, slightly open window for a few autumn nights. This signals the plant that it's time to prepare for flowers. In my home, radiators have automatic thermostats that lower the heat at night, creating natural temperature drops that encourage blooming. 4. Watering secrets. Here's a test. Take a deep breath near your orchid's roots. If they smell fresh, you're watering just right. A musty scent? Time to cut back. Water only when roots turn silvery. Overwatering drowns your plant's ability to bloom. Want to give your orchid a boost? Try watering with cooled, boiled rice water. The starches act as a natural fertilizer, feeding your plant the way nature intended. Just make sure the rice water is unsalted. Regularly wash trays and saucers to remove green algae, which compete for light and nutrients while releasing toxins that hinder orchid growth. If you tend to overwater, try using the soak and dry method. Submerge the pot in water for 10 to 15 minutes, then let it drain completely before placing it back. If your tap water is hard, consider using rainwater or distilled water to avoid mineral buildup on roots and leaves. 5. Fertilizing for blooms. In the wild, orchids extract nutrients from decaying leaves and rainwater, so they prefer light, consistent feeding rather than heavy doses. Before flowering, switch to a bloom booster with higher phosphorus October 30th 20. Think of it as an energy drink before a big performance. Flush with plain water once a month to prevent salt buildup, like a cleansing ritual for your orchid. A great natural fertilizer is wood ash solution. It strengthens the plant, protects against pests, and provides essential minerals like potassium and calcium. Recipe: dissolve 1 tablespoon of sifted wood ash in 1 liter of warm water, let it settle for a few hours, then use the clear liquid to spray the leaves and roots once a month. Avoid over-fertilizing, less is more when it comes to orchids. 6. proper potting mix and repotting. Imagine growing in the air with nothing but mist and tree bark for support. That's how most orchids live in nature. Orchids hate compact soil. Use a bark-based mix for proper airflow around the roots. The easiest orchid secret many growers swear by? Adding a few chunks of charcoal to the mix. It absorbs toxins and keeps the roots fresh. 7. Humidity and air circulation. Ever noticed how orchids thrive in bathrooms? That's because they love humidity levels 50 to 70%. Orchids need gentle air movement. Think of a rainforest breeze, not a stagnant room. A fun fact, in some cultures, orchids were placed near sleeping areas to improve air quality and promote vivid dreams. 8. Encouraging reblooming. Here's a mystery. Why do some orchids rebloom easily while others refuse? The answer lies in patience and technique. Cut the spike just above the second or third node if it's still green. This may trigger a secondary bloom. If the spike turns brown, cut it at the base. It means your orchid is preparing for a fresh start. Keep the faith. Some orchids take months to bloom again, storing up energy for their grand return. 9 signs your orchid is about to bloom. A thin, firm new flower spike reaching upwards, like a whisper of what's to come. Swollen nodes on an existing spike, little pockets of potential. Glossy leaves and thickened roots, your orchid is gathering strength for its floral masterpiece. Post-bloom care. Your orchid just put on a show. Now it's time to let it rest. Reduce fertilization slightly but keep up with good care to encourage new spikes. A pro tip, after flowering, repot only if necessary. Disturbing roots too soon can delay future blooms. If no new spikes appear, try mimicking a seasonal rest period with lower temperatures and reduced watering for a few weeks. Orchids need downtime, just like us. 12 common mistakes to avoid. Overwatering equals silent orchid assassin. Always check the roots first. Direct midday sun equals leaf sunburn. Move them to bright but indirect light. Sudden temperature changes equals shock. Avoid cold drafts or heaters nearby. Standing water in the crown equals crown rot. Dry it with a tissue if needed. Now that you know these hidden secrets, your orchids are ready to thrive. Have you ever used a folk trick to make your orchids bloom? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more plant magic.